you ready to discover who you came here to be? Welcome to the Human Design and Astro Club podcast. Human design is a system and a tool that is here to empower you and show you your greatest potential. Come learn with us and discover who you really are. A few potential opportunities before we dive into this week's episode. Leah and I have made it our mission to not only bring you energy updates, interesting guests, and education on here, but we also have a few different ways to connect and work with us outside of the podcast. Now, the first opportunity is completely free, and if you have been struggling with understanding your strategy and authority, I highly recommend picking up our free guide on tips and tricks to honoring your strategy and authority. And you can get that in our show notes down below to better help you align to your unique guidance system. Next, if you have been struggling with the key terms in human design, if you don't understand how to read your body graph, Leah and I have come up with graphics and images that provide easy ways to understand the key terms so you can begin to unravel your true self. And that's exactly what this manual is called, your user manual to your true self, to help you speak the language of human design in no time. Our next offer is great if you've been loving our program energy updates because we put together a 2022 yearly forecast through the lens of human design, astrology, and tarot. Super helpful to have a look back on this year and also what's to come and how we can be supported by the energy of what's ahead. Now, our last offer has a few different options, so listen up. We've been telling you for a long time that we were building a subscription service on the 4 transformations, and the wait is over. The doorway is now open to your true self, and you can get for 6 full months every single one of our variables classes. So all of the colors for determination, every single tone for cognition, and all of the colors for environment, view, and motivation. All of these classes were put together with source material from Ra Uruhu, as well as lived experience from people who actually have these aspects in their design. And for a very low price of $39.99 a month, that is well over the value of $600. If you've bought all of our bundles, it would be well over that price. And you also get a bonus that is our support group with this subscription service. So you not only get the classes, but you also get a community of people to help you along the way through your deconditioning process that include a community page to post and 2 group Zoom calls a month. If you're just looking for support, you can also get that outside of the doorway, just the support for only $19.99 a month. And if you want one of our classes on the variables, you're not ready to enter the doorway or our support group, you can pick up your a la carte class on determination, cognition, or environments down below. View and motivation are an exclusive only for the doorway. Now, if you're looking for one-on-one attention and would like to dive into your human design chart, feel free to connect with me on either Instagram or book a reading on my website, which you can find down below in the show notes. Or if you would like a tarot reading from Leah, you can also connect with her on Instagram and also her website down below. We are so excited for everyone to discover their uniqueness, their differentiation, and everything I have mentioned you can find again in the show notes down below. We hope you enjoy this next episode. Hello, welcome to the Human Design and Astro Club podcast. I'm Krystle.
I'm Leah.
And we have hold on, open throat. Hold on. we have a very special guest. We've been telling you guys that we're doing more interviews, and we have another one ready for you as you listen to this now. This one's a little different than the ones we've done in the past because every other one we've done in the past has been related directly from human design people or astrology. And this is someone that has nothing to do with any of that. But I'm going to give a little backstory before I introduce. So like a couple months ago, I was in Knoxville, Tennessee for the first time. And I wanted to take my husband to a show because he is Valley's environment. And Valley's environment, people are like, they really like bars and shows and music because it's really about the acoustics and the sound and the travel of information and the stories. And so I was like, he used to thrive and like go to so many shows. And because of COVID, the pandemic, we have kids, we're old now, all those things. We don't do that. So I was like, let's go to a show. I know it's going to like put you in your environment. And when you're in your correct environment, you feel like yourself, like you feel just like whole and like at home. And so I wanted to give him that. So we went to a show and I started watching this band and I was watching the singer and I was like, holy shit. I'm like, this guy first has such a beautiful voice, number one. And then number two, he's like, stop. Number two, I was like, he has an open throat. If I said to myself, if he doesn't have an open throat, I'm going to quit. And I was like, I need to find out. Like, I'm going to quit human design. I'm like, I need to find out. So there was this little dance. I know that you probably don't remember it, but it's imprinted in my brain. So there was a little dance that happened between the two of us because we're both generators. I'll give you his full design in just a moment. There's a little dance that happened between the two of us, and he initiated me because he has the 2551 and I only have the 25, and this is my bridge gate. And so I felt this like sacral pull to go talk to him. And I just said, do you know what time you were born? Just real creepy, like most people would probably be like, excuse me, lady, can you please back up? Just take a few steps back. But no, he actually was intrigued. And I was like, yeah, I do this thing called human design, similar to astrology, but it's a lot more exact. And I think you'd really dig it if you are into that kind of thing. He's like, yeah. I think you said, I know my big three or something. And I was like, yes, we're okay. We're like, this is going to work out. And so, yeah, so I was like, would you like to come on my podcast? And because he's literally living his design, we're going to go through his life, which I think is really fun because it allows people to kind of understand how is this information, this like energy, this your unique blueprint that's basically just your entirety, your total self, your quantum self, right? So I was like, he's living that. I see it. And I was like, if I could get his information, I get to confirm my defined heart, like just like goals that I'm a genius. So anywho, I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to introduce. So this is Oliver. He is in a band called Jive Talk. Definitely go find him. We're going to put all of his information below in our show notes so that you can connect with him if you would like to after the show. He has a beautiful voice. Definitely at least go check him out. Just go check him out. So Oliver, welcome. Now your open throat can speak.
It is time. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for having me. I do remember you coming up directly after the show, and we do get a lot of crazy people that come up after shows. But I wouldn't lump you into there, and I knew exactly where you were going with what time you were born. So I was like, oh, this is cool. I don't know the exact time, but like I've got my
Like I
birth
can get my
certificate
birth
at
certificate.
home. Yeah. So I remember like as soon as I got home, I messaged you that, and you're like, "Dope, let's set something up." So yeah, really excited to be here with Krystle and to meet Leah as well. So thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. I knew when I saw your chart and that you had a defined heart that I was like, this is most likely going to happen because defined hearts tend to be pretty committed. Like when you decide that you're going to make a commitment, it's just like unless like, you know, the heavens open up or something and like
Mercury retrograde.
yeah, that could do something. We are in Mercury retrograde, so who knows how this audio will be.
Here we are trying it out.
Yeah, hopefully it'll be good. So I'm like, wait a minute, I'm recording, right? I just had to look up there and double check because I was like, that would be something that I would do is like, we'd all think we're recording, but nobody was actually being
Just
recorded,
talking to ourselves.
which is kind of normal for open throats. We talk to ourselves a lot, right?
Mm.
Um, so let me explain to you and anyone that maybe wants to hear about your life through this weird system called human design. Anyone that's listening that's new here or that you're just new here, welcome. Thanks for finding us. We do transit updates on here, energy updates for the week. We also have interviews like we're doing right now, and we talk about human design and astrology through their chart. And we have special guests that also are experts in human design and astrology on here as well. And we also have education. So, human design, let's talk about it. What is human design? So, human design is a synthesis. It is a system that is almost intertwined with a bunch of other systems. So, it has quantum physics, it has astrology, it has the Kabbalah tree of life, it has the chakra system. And am I missing something?
The I Ching.
The I Ching. That one's kind of important because that's all the gates. I was like, there's one I'm missing here. Mercury retrograde. What are you doing? Okay, so between all those systems, when you put them all together, you get this brand new system that's called human design. And human design is a logical system. It actually shows you paths and patterns that happen within yourself. It's actually not the moment. I've said this before, and I actually want to correct myself because I heard a lecture from the founder of human design, Ra Uru. And it's not actually the moment you take your first breath that creates your almost like the blueprint to your soul. That's what this is. This is the blueprint to your soul. It's actually the moment your body exits your mother. You don't actually have to take the first breath. It's just that it's the separation. It's the separation between the in and the out. So when you get separated from that and you're completely out, that's when somebody needs to be looking at the time and watching the time. For anyone that's about to have a child, like make sure you are, as soon as that baby exits the vehicle, meaning your vehicle, like look at the time. Better have your husband, partner, whoever looking at the time. So this is the moment your body exits your mother's vehicle. Okay. And so what this shows you is it shows you the correct way you operate. So if you think about like circuitry or like mechanics of a car, there's like things that need to be fused together in order for that vehicle to operate correctly, right? So it's the same thing with human design is it shows you all the ways that your frequencies that are running through you, these almost like they're connected to your DNA because there's so much science involved in this. It's like science meets spirituality, which is I think that's like the best of both worlds. So these lines, I sent you your chart, Oliver, and you're probably like, what the fuck is that?
Right.
I sent you your chart. And so those lines that were coming out of all those like boxes and triangles,
Right.
those are like personality traits that you carry that are connected to your DNA that you actually received from your grandparents. Because you know how like things like skip a generation.
Yeah.
So their DNA, it's like you're actually more like your grandparents than you are your parents, which we kind of know that, right? Like we're like, you guys are weird. Like by like, age like 10, 11, 12, 13, you're like, get the hell out of here. You don't even know me. Right.
Right.
Like there's a reason that like how all that works out. And the beauty is that human design will show you exactly who you are. It's literally your true self, because in our childhood and also the moment that we actually exit the vehicle and we start connecting with other auras, this shows you your aura. Okay. When you start connecting with other auras, you start getting conditioned by them. And it's almost like you're grabbing like other people's frequencies, and that through like this openness, you probably saw that there was a couple places in your chart that were white. That openness is taking on the energy of another, and sometimes you take on that energy of another as your own. And so that's where conditioning can come in, where you don't even know who you are anymore, or you feel these almost like foreign feelings that are running through you.
But they're actually from your parents, from your friends, from the transits. You're also being conditioned by the transits. And so when that happens, you actually enter this part in human design that we call the not self. And the not self is this distorted part of you
Mm-hmm.
that is going to face a lot of resistance. So what human design shows you is it shows you those places that where you're going to face a lot of resistance or you're going to have challenges, and then it's going to show you how you actually operate correctly and what you need to do so you can live your best life. That's what human design offers you, is for you to live your best life, to get out of survival so that you can start making the most appropriate choices for you as an individual. It shows you the individual. It's we're so homogenized as a society that we don't, because of all that openness, where you are open
Mm-hmm.
and you think that's who you are. We try to be everything, like we're trying all the time to be everything instead of realizing actually I'm a fucking individual. We all are. And
Yep.
I'm here to live out that expression. And so human design honestly gave me my life back. I know also, Leah, you probably would agree with that too. Because we're conditioned to be something else. We're conditioned to be something that we're not. And we're raised in a society that says there's only one box you can all fit in. And if you don't fit in that box, then you get the fuck out of the tribe. Right. And so we're all going in a different direction now. We're going into the direction of the individual. All of this stuff that's happening in the world right now, I mean, I can explain it. If you're into this kind of stuff, Oliver, definitely check out our weekly episodes
For sure.
where we talk about the transits, because we talk about some
Yeah,
crazy shit.
I'm into that.
And and it's just interesting because what actually human design gave me is self-acceptance of exactly who I am and self-love. And also how to work with other people, like how to work best with other people. I mean, you're in a band. I'm it's hard to say because he might have just been tired or he also likes attention. I'm not sure, but you have a bandmate that I think is a projector, and we're going to go over the types real quick.
Oh,
Um,
I would love to hear that.
and
Whether that's
I
on here or later, who knows if they'll listen to it, but I'll be excited to
yeah,
diagnose that.
so diagnose.
I love it.
he it's the it does Do you have a bandmate that likes to lay down a lot?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
coined him the projector of the group. I want him to be a projector so bad because I was like, I get the feeling he does this a lot where he just lays down in the middle of a performance. And Leah's
Okay.
a projector actually. And so let's go over the types real quick and then
Cool.
I'll let you introduce yourself and then we'll dive into your chart. Um,
Awesome.
So if anyone's like listening to this and brand new and you're like, what are the aura types? So our aura is almost like the mask that we wear this life. We each have a certain flavor that we're expressing, right? And that other people are receiving from us. And so we have the first type, which is the manifester. And the manifester is I like to use like a race as a way to explain this. You can kind of have a visual. So if we're in a race, the manifester is going to be the first energy type in the race because they were like the kings and the queens back in the day. They're the rulers. Like I'm going to just say Putin and Zelensky are both manifestors. But Putin's the old version of the manifester and Zelensky's the new version of the manifester. And we can clearly see the difference between the two of them. And so they have this, they don't have a sacral that if you're, I know, Oliver, you were looking at your chart for a second, but if you look at your
Yeah.
chart, you can see that you have a red box at the bottom of your chart that's colored in red. For non-sacrals, like manifestors, projectors, and reflectors that we'll get into in a second, they all have open sacrals, meaning they don't have that sustainable engine like the generators that we both are,
Mm-hmm.
the way that we operate. So manifestors, they don't have a defined sacrals, but they have a defined throat. And the throat is where we manifest from. So it's where we create. And so they have this beautiful capability of being able to initiate. I like to say they are the fabric, they create the ripples in the fabric of our universe. They are the frequency that's running through our planet, and they birth things. They are the inventors. A lot of them are writers. They can just do things, like the saying in Nike, like just do it. Pretty sure that's like a manifestor thing. And we've been conditioned as generators to be manifestors. We want, because we have that sustainable engine to actually do things and keep up with things and be consistent with things. We want to be the manifestor because we know that we can actually follow through, but the manifestor actually doesn't follow through. Usually they're here actually just to create. They're here to just start. So they're the first man and running, or woman, person, let's just say person running in the race. Okay. But they're like the cheetah. So they start to get a little tired. They don't have that sustainable engine like the sacral. So when they get a little tired, they're going to need to pass their baton behind them. So let's talk about the next one. Let's talk about the generator. Okay. So the generator has that defined sacral. It has that sustainable engine, that life force energy, and that engine we're like the builders of society. Okay. So, and we're here to be satisfied. Manifestors are here for peace, but they also can have a lot of anger in their not self. Generators can have a lot of frustration when they're in their not self. So when we meet resistance, that's when we meet the not self. So when we are initiating like a manifester, that's usually when we reach frustration, because we're not here to initiate with like the manifester. We're here to respond. And response is kind of a hard way to explain things, other than like that, when people say like that gut feeling or whatever, that's what the generator feels. It's like that, almost like that pull towards something, or it's like this resistance that's like a no. It's either a hell yes or a hell no. And the generator is here to do what lights them up. When we do what lights us up, we have all the energy for like for lifetimes. Like, I'm sure for you, for singing, right? It's like I could sing forever when I'm like in it, when I like my sacral's turned on and like I'm performing and people are watching me, and I just feel like I could just do this forever. That's the generator. We're here to be satisfied by life. That's what we're here to do. But a lot of generators want to just go out there and get life. We don't actually have to get anything. Everything comes to us. Our energy is actually like open and enveloping. So we're like a magnet. So what we do is we pull people towards us. And that's kind of what you did to me. When I saw you, I was like, I felt like something was pulling me over to you. And it was like the weirdest thing, because I also don't like talking to people. So, but that's the thing with the sacral. It doesn't make any sense. When you get that sacral response to go do something, that's the universe giving you a breadcrumb that says, here, do you want to respond to that? Is that something good for you? Do you like that? It's a yes or no for a generator. And then we have the hybrid, which is the manifesting generator, and they are the hybrid of the manifestor and the generator. So they're like the Energizer Bunny of us. They're like the turbo charged version of the generator. Like, all generators are here for mastery, but the generator, just the pure generator, we're just here to put one step right in front of the other. It takes a few times to get things to get there, right? It can feel a little bit slower sometimes, but the manifesting generator, they take the baton from us, and they just like all of a sudden they hit their jetpack and they just like take off. But they're here to teach us that we can pivot. That's what they do. The manifesting generator pivots because they have that defined throat and that defined sacral. They're constantly bobbing and weaving out of different careers, different jobs, like different hobbies. They're the multi-passionate being that's here to show us that we can be more than one thing. And then we have the projector. Leah is a projector. We got the projector here. They are the coach that's on the sidelines, that's guiding the players that are running I just forgot words. Running the race. So we got the projector, the coach on the sideline. That's like, all right, everybody over there, go left, go right. No, now you got to go straight. They are like the bird sitting on top of the tree that's looking down on us, that sees all the way that, like, especially the generators, we need to organize these people. These people do not know like where they're going. And they are actually the new leaders. that are coming after 2027. But they're here to be recognized. They often feel like nobody sees them because they also don't have that defined sacral. Some of them may or may not have a defined throat, but it's not connected to any of the manifesting channels that are going to give them that little extra push. And because they actually absorb other people's energy, they often see everybody else, but nobody sees them. So for them, it's really about being recognized for their gifts, and that they help us create systems and organize us and guide us. And so they're here to wait for the invitation. Just as we're here to wait to respond to something, they're here to wait for an invitation. Similar, but a little different. It's almost like for the projector, it's about like someone that recognizes a gift, like how I invited Leah to join me on Clubhouse because I knew she was really good at tarot, that I recognized her gift and then I invited her. So that's an example of what that looks like. And then we have the reflector. The reflector, if you were to see a reflector's chart, their chart is completely open. They are the most open out of everybody. And I look at them as almost like Mother Earth. Like they're almost like the referee in the race that's like saying, okay, everything that's happening over here, it's not quite working. And that guy looks like he needs a drink that's running that race. Can somebody throw a drink at the guy so that he can have a beverage? They actually they're like the meter of the environment, and they can actually they're the mirror of it actually. And they're the mirror of you, the reflector. And so they go and they sample the environment and they can tell us what's healthy and what's not. And they're actually like deeply connected to the moon cycles and the transits. So as the transits move, they become all the other types. So they get to actually experience all the other types through other people's auras and then through the transits. And they're really here to show us that there's really more to life, is what I think they're here to show us, and that we need to take care of each other. We need to take care of our community. We need to take care of our environment. And they're really beautiful people whenever you can meet a reflector, but they need a lot of alone time because they're so open. And they need to wait a lunar cycle to make a decision. So they need to wait about 28, 30 days to make a decision. And I'd say for big decisions. So if a reflector is like, what? Or a new reflector, they're like, I'm sure you've already heard that, but I'd really say it's for really big decisions. But I think that reflectors start to see patterns in things, and they kind of know as the ebbs and flows happen, like when they're at a certain place of making decisions, if they get to know themselves enough. So that's all the types in a nutshell. And so let's say your chart real quick, and then I'm going to have you introduce yourself. So Oliver is a 5/1 emotional generator. And I'm really excited to talk about his chart because there's just so many things that I've already seen, and I just want a more confirmation on stuff as we go through. So before we do that, go ahead, Oliver, and introduce yourself. Give us a little background story on yourself. What do you do? Like, where did you come from? What do you do? And tell us something that you think we would enjoy.
Yeah, I'm Oliver Pierce. I was born in a small town in Kentucky and was raised there. Parents divorced, so I split time between the two of them from a fairly early on age, and I was raised a Jehovah's Witness for the majority of my childhood. And then I discovered theater, like stage plays, and that's kind of where I began my love for performance. And that's what took me away from Kentucky into college, and what took me from college to New York, and what took me from New York to Memphis. I've done a lot of traveling through theater, and when you were talking about, the things, when you're doing something that you love, you could do it forever. And as a generator, and I definitely felt that with theater, and I, want to follow up. And once it's not there anymore, it's very difficult to do once the love is not there. And I think that that happened about 2 or 3 years ago, and I was fairly low in Memphis, and I didn't really know what to do. I was working a corporate job, and my friend and I had always kind of done music, and I, of course, have always loved singing, and so we decided to move to Nashville and piece together what was just like a fun, spare time project and try to do it full force. And that's where Jive Talk kind of came to be. And that is my new generator. That's what I think about pretty much every hour I'm not asleep. I'm thinking about that and the many facets of it. And that's how I ended up in Knoxville at the Preservation Pub where I met you after a show. And that's how I'm here today. That's pretty much me as a high level overview of where I'm at.
Are you doing anything aside from this for work, or are you just doing the dance?
So I work from home as an IT support specialist, helping people with computers or podcasters with their microphones.
I mean,
whatever.
you're lighting Leah up probably. Like her hearing this, she's like, okay, so we might have somebody that we're gonna need soon.
I'm gonna need your 800 number after this.
Yeah, I'd be happy to help, but it's definitely not what keeps me going.
No,
keeps food in my cat's bowl, and that's what we got to do. But a lot of the goal is to throw my whole self into this project, and until it becomes my job. And we've had a lot of fun, exciting things come up just in the past. I just look at where we were a year ago compared to now, and completely mind-blowing. And so if we can just keep going.
Well, the generator, they're like, hold on. Okay, what's the next fucking step? Somebody tell me.
You bet. Yeah, I've got many a notes app, many a handwritten scribble note, and many a vision board, and everything to lay out. And we've got, luckily a lot of 5 people, and a couple of them I would love to get their readings as well to figure out, like, why do I work best with you? Why can we communicate about this well? And
that's what Leah and I do. We have a membership where we're helping people figure out basically about themselves, but also about the other, because we live in a melting pot of different aura types, different energies, and we don't know how to communicate with each other. We don't know how to operate correctly, not only as ourselves, but how to allow the other person to operate correctly as themselves.
I think that's what's helped us communicate best with each other too, is like knowing we can see the other person and we're like, okay, I understand that's what is working. Your circuitry is working within you. So now I know like how to approach that situation differently or how to support you in a different way. It's definitely been really helpful.
That's amazing, because I've never worked this intimately with people that not only I care about like as friends, but also we're like quasi running a business now. And so, that's usually like work. There's like a detachment, I can communicate with you at work in this cookie cutter corporate, communication style. And that's the one size fits all. But now, you're dealing with 5 very unique individuals.
Oh yeah,
very
I saw
specific.
them.
And they all require very specific types of affirmation and communication across the board, or else the wheels fall off. So we're all learning that. I'm letting my cat out right now. She's giving me looks. There we go. We're learning that on the fly, but that's been fun. It hasn't been too traumatic just yet. So
how long have you guys been together for?
Well, me and Isaac was one of the guitar synth players. Met in college, just at orientation by complete random happenstance. And so that was 2010. So I've known Isaac for 12 years, and we've kind of done music for that long together. And then he went to high school in Mexico. His parents were missionaries in Chihuahua, Mexico, with Ben, our bassist. And so Ben has lived in Nashville, where we all live now, and Isaac and I have bebopped all around the country. And so it's when we decided, right before COVID happened, that we would come here and give this a shot. And then Nashville is where we met Phil, our drummer, and Andres, our keyboard and guitarist as well.
Yeah, you guys got a lot of energies
Oh, cool.
happening there. I'd be
Many.
curious. Maybe, I don't know, depending on how this goes, maybe we can bring them all on or something. I'm just
that would be a wild time. And I also, there's, you see the energies like on stage, and I'm wondering how, like, there is a level of a persona that you have to
Oh, yeah.
embody, on
Oh, yeah.
stage.
Sure.
Otherwise, if you're in a bad mood and you go up on stage in a bad mood, you kind of have to shed that skin and put on a different skin for
Oh my God.
performance sake.
So you're like literally speaking your design right now. And I'm also, Leah, have you realized that he's literally got a spotlight on him right now? Have you
Yeah,
taken that? Have
you're
you?
in-
Because I've been laughing at
Good.
his direct light situation right
Yeah.
now
Oh,
because it's
right
just
there.
so hilarious. Like it's
that's
just
funny.
when you start seeing like how energy actually plays out in the real world, it's just kind of hilarious because so the way you take in information and also food is through direct light. And you probably feel the most energized during your day. Like not that probably sounds like a lot of people do, but there's actually people that are night owls that are here to be more energized at night. What does
Can
that
you
say?
read that? Is it
No, I don't.
backwards? It says sometimes the sun does help. The tattoo
Oh my
I got.
God. Okay. Oh, I can't
Yeah,
Oh,
I
that's
I
amazing.
oh my God. I cannot.
it truly
Could not be
does.
more accurate.
I got that in
This is
LA just a couple months ago
oh
when I
my
was out there.
God.
So cool.
Very true.
So there's this placement in human design that's connected to your brain.
Mhm.
And so the way you take in information and also the way you take in food and digest your food is when you have like during the day, like when the sun comes up and before the sun goes down. Like that is when you are the most energized. That's the when you're probably the most hungry. Probably when the sun comes down, you're probably like, I'm not really interested in eating anymore. And it's because if you do eat at night, it's actually not the best for you to be doing. I mean, I'm not going to tell you what to do. You could also turn
For
on a
sure.
really fucking bright light and eat under that. I mean, you can improvise.
Sure.
If you're like that hungry, I really would recommend eating under light. There's also, and like the fact that you literally have a spotlight on you right now, like you came on and you were like Jesus to me, like
I've got a great window.
like it couldn't be more accurate right now with, and I don't know, how do you feel like you're almost like direct light people are almost like the cat that's like sunbathing. Like, how do you feel about stuff like that?
Obsessed with it. I don't know. And that this tattoo, I didn't even
Yeah, that's
didn't
really
even
accurate.
mean to get it. It was just on their flash sheet. But in the
You felt a
winter,
sacral response.
I did, and it wasn't really the maybe the presence of like actual direct light that I get so riled about, but the absence, I guess, of it, that the absence of it, where I notice it, and especially in the winter,
Yeah.
which everybody has, that seasonal depression and the light and
No, but
everything.
that's really a big thing for direct light
Huge
people.
for you. Yeah.
Sure, yeah, it was just it felt like the longest winter I've ever had. This past one, it just was. And now with everything, just to be sweating and to be sunburnt and to be like all the things that I guess most people consider negatives, I'm very excited about.
Which makes sense. You probably come alive around this time of year.
Oh, for sure, and it not only like me, but it feels like the things around me, like maybe the band was in like a lull period in the winter, and now that for some reason it's like warmer and the sun's out longer, like things are moving around me again as well, which is cool.
So you
Very
keep
cool.
talking about like waves, and you said something. What did he, Leah? Do you remember
He
what
said
he
he was
said?
in a low.
Yeah, in a low. Oh
Mm,
my
mm,
God.
I
I'm
didn't
like,
know that.
okay,
I was
hold
like,
on. We're gonna have to discuss this, because
yeah.
this is probably the biggest deal, aside from the fact that you're a generator. Like there's two things that you need to take away from this, Oliver. I'm going to direct your left brain and mind right now to focus on what I'm about to tell you.
okay.
So you know the part about the sacral, and that you're a generator, here to do what lights you up. It gives you sustainable energy. You like to complete things. You're here for satisfaction. You know, when you reach frustration, you're in resistance. And we go through, I like to call it kind of like a little generator lull sometimes, which can sometimes look at as depression, because there's like nothing moving with what we're doing. But something else that happens to you is, so I told you that you're an emotional generator. And
Right.
so the emotional part of you is connected to your authority. And this is the place inside of you that you make decisions. So 50% of the population are non-emotionals, like Leah and I were both non-emotionals. And 50% of the population are emotionals, like you. And so you actually set the tone. And I'm so curious of what your other bandmates are. If there's either any other emotionals, or if you're the one that's really setting that rhythm and that tone for your band, I would love for that to be it.
If just thinking, there's probably maybe one other
Other
one, but
emotional.
but right. And I think everybody else would be non-emotional in authority, at least.
Yeah. So emotionals, it's almost like, if you think of what emotions are, first of all they are is their energy in motion, right? It's just energy. There's a chemistry that happens with emotionals, that it doesn't matter what's actually happening in your outside world. It's your internal world. It's your internal world that's constantly moving and going through waves, ups and downs, like how you were talking about that low. Every emotional knows what a fucking low feels like for them, and knows what a fucking high feels like. And I'm going to tell you right now, my friend, never, ever. I mean, if you want to, don't listen to me. I'm not your authority, but I would suggest not to be making decisions when you're in a high. Because when you make decisions when you're on a high, you're like, oh, this fucking is great. All of this is going to go so good. I'm so excited with my defined root. And I'm so adrenalized right now, because this is actually connected to your wave. And when you do stuff like that, usually things go to shit, or like a few months down the line, or like relationships. Emotionals love making relationship decisions when they're in a high, and I'm like, give it 2 months, they're going to break up, because I'm a non-emotional. So I'm amplifying. I can take in and like kind of read your energy and be like, this shit's not going to work out for you. Because the thing is, with the open centers, those open centers that you don't have your solar plexus, which comes from emotions. That's where the emotions come from. You don't have that open. But when the centers that you do have open, those are your wisdom centers. Those are where you're taking in other people's energy and you're learning from it. It's distorted for you. So you like amplify it and you almost try to identify with it, but you're here to just learn from it. So non-emotionals, they take on the emotionals feelings on as their own, oftentimes. And we don't understand like why all of a sudden the energy changed in a room, for people that don't know what human design is. And I used to take on other people's energy all the time as my own, and I would feel like shit, and I would be like, I fucking hate myself. Like, I'm like, I hate myself. Like, there's something wrong with me, and that person hates me. That emotional over there, they fucking hate me. Even though you guys, there's literally nothing wrong. Like, you could wake up one day and just like feel like shit for no fucking reason. No reason.
All the time.
There's
All the time.
absolutely no reason. And you go through melancholy. You have the channel of emoting. Do people tell do people tell you that you're moody?
Oh yeah, no, and that's like kind of a whole aesthetic, because I embrace that. I love sad, cathartic films and books
Yes.
and music. I get really where I think most people are like, why would you want to do that? I'm like that, I like going there and living
Like,
in that.
you like that,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
those
yeah, yeah,
highs
yeah.
and those lows.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom actually has this channel. My mom's an emotional manifesting generator.
Mm-hmm.
And you also like with this channel comes a little bit of like a poking energy. You have like the gate of provocation. So it's like you like poke, like your energy, not like necessarily you yourself, but like your energy. And especially if you don't have awareness around this, it can be a little dangerous for some
Mm-hmm.
people, that especially for the non-emotionals that come into your aura with this energy, you like poke. And then sometimes you pop them and it just like, it's like your energy, like that channel that you have that's running from your root, this pressurized emotional energy that's like trying to wake people the fuck up. That's what your energy does. And it does that on stage. I was like, my little sacral was like bopping the fuck away while you were singing. And that's the high end of it. When you can get all the non-emotionals to be like, I'm fucking dancing. Yeah. Like I feel like alive. That's what you
Oh yeah.
give people. But the lower end of that is that like you provoke people with no consciousness of it. And it actually, my boys have half of this channel.
Mm-hmm.
I have two boys and they're little, they're only 2 and 6, but they both have half of this channel. And also because they only have half of it, that means that they don't have a complete understanding of it. And they also don't know how to operate 100% with it because they only have half the frequency. So
I
for
see.
them, they love to fucking poke people. Like they love it, live for it, especially my little generator. He loves getting in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
He like just loves like instigating people. That's what this channel
Okay.
can
I was
really,
gonna ask. I
yeah,
was gonna
that's
ask
what
if
this channel can,
instigating was
yeah.
poking or like synonymous
Yeah.
on that. 'Cause
Have you noticed that
I
you've
do like
done,
doing that.
you do?
Oh yeah, no, I do like doing that. It usually in I when I get to know people, I find out how far I can. I find out what gets under their skin,
Yeah.
and then I do kind of just get it. Only if I like them though. If I'm just trying to be, in passing friends with them, then I'll probably just be fine. But if I like my roommate, one of my best friends, I know the 3 topics I can talk about or things I can say that'll just get under his skin,
You do know.
and it's fun. Yeah, I don't know. To a point, I know where I have to stop. And and he does it back, so it's fine. It's a mutual poking,
I feel
but
like
I
you
do
want to
enjoy
say
it.
something.
What do you mean?
I was just going to say that that's hilarious. Like, I feel like I don't know if my husband has that or not, but we were talking about that today, how he does enjoy, like, he's an emotional generator too, and he thrives on stirring as many pots as possible.
You guys do, but
Yes,
he
he wakes
needs to
up with
make
like
us
a hand mixer.
feel.
He's like, how am I going to fuck shit up today? Loves it.
It's
I
like a
do.
lot of that's pretty much the emotional's job, is to do stuff like that. But because you have like the channel of like I'm gonna poke the fuck out of you until you pop, like it's a
Well,
little bit,
sometimes it's necessary,
yeah.
to get people to, shake them up out of a stagnation to get them moving and inspired, and if that's, what it takes to get them wake them up is to maybe ruffle their feathers or, um, sometimes you got to do that, but I think it's all. I've never done it completely maliciously or to a point where I think hurt somebody, but I do. I've gotten close a couple of times, but I didn't know.
You
So
didn't well, so
yeah.
half of this channel for you, so those red lines that you have and like that left side that's all red, and then the
Hmm.
black lines that you have were in the those boxes that are all black. The red
Hmm.
is your unconscious part of you. This is the part of you that you don't actually have a lot of awareness on, but you're actually just naturally doing. And then the black part is the conscious part of you that you have awareness of. Um, and you can kind of, there's a little more fluidity to it. It's that side's more connected to your astrology.
Hmm.
And so when the part of you, because it part of you is unconscious with this wave and the other part is conscious. So it's like you have somewhat of awareness around it, but you kind of just don't understand fully how it moves. But now that we explained some of that to you, you can now watch it And I mean, you're
Sure.
not going to be able to do anything about the unconscious part, but just
Sure.
what human design shows you is awareness so that you can become the passenger of your human existence and like enjoy the ride. Let's actually fucking enjoy these vehicles that we're living in, right? That's what human design gives you.
I
And
love it.
so you also have the channel of initiation, which it's like this is what fucking you initiated me that night, because which it's, you know, manifestors, they this is a manifesting channel, which you have it, but it doesn't, because you have no connection to the throat. It's y- you can't express it in the way that, let's say, a manifestor would, but you do have that little oomph. That's what that defined heart does, that little triangle on the right hand side.
Okay.
It's colored in for you. And I said that's about 35% of the population. This is
Yep.
where self-worth lives. This is where commitment lives. This is where drive lives. This is where your ego lives. Okay. And so we are ego beings, the three of us, which is it's very rare to have. And so we're kind of like the little booster. We're like, I like to call, like, we're like the like, I'm like almost, oh my God, I'm like, who are those people? I'm like, I almost thought of somebody and I just lost his name. The rappers that are just like, whoa, ooh, ah, yeah, like, yeah, like that's like, we're like everyone's like hype person, and we
They do like
motivate
ad
people.
libs. Yeah.
Yeah, this is like the motivating center. We motivate people to like be their best self, their best version of self. Sometimes it could pressurize them because there's also a motor here. Sometimes it could pressurize them into feeling bad about themselves because they look at us and they're like, Oliver has such fucking confidence. Look at him up there on that stage right now, just singing his little heart out. And I will never do that. That's what sometimes can happen, because when people are living in the not self and they see you and they come into contact, they have an open heart and they come into contact with your defined heart, it could make them feel bad about themselves. Has nothing to do with you. It's just energetics, just like with the solar plexus. And so let's talk about that open throat. Oh, wait, before we talk about that. So this channel, it has the gate of shock. I'm sure you shock people all the time.
Sure.
You're the way you get yourself, your whole costume and appearance on stage is the 2551. I would invite people to go check out Oliver's page just if you want to see what the 2551 looks like, so that you can see the way he performs. You shocked my husband, and also he loves you, by the way. He was very excited when I said that I was interviewing you. I'm like,
Oh, amazing.
like, you have a huge fan, like with my
Awesome.
36-year-old husband. So
I love it. I love it.
so like that whole, like, I don't know what eyeshadow or whatever you're putting underneath your eyes,
Just
like that's the
eyeshadow.
2551. It's like,
What
it
do
looks
you,
like it's
when
like
you're
dripping.
saying that, the 2551, when you say that, what do you mean?
It's that there's a channel from the heart, that little red triangle that's running up
Yes.
to that yellow diamond. You see that
Yep.
black line? That's the
Gotcha. That's that
2551.
connection. Okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
that's the frequency that you shock people. But and like you have do people do you end up being like, how do I ask this question? So the 51 is like the energy of, I need to be first. I'm going to be first. I need to be first. I need to be the first one in line. I need to do all these things first. And the 25 is like universal love. It's one of the love gates that's coming from that yellow diamond, called the G center. And so at 25 is like, we're all connected. We're all one. And the 51 is saying, I need to almost like it's like, I need to shock the heart of the collective to realize that we're all in this fucking shit together. And that's kind of what your energy does, is it shocks people back to love. That's what this channel does.
I don't remember what song we did. Where did you see the whole show when you came to
I think
Preservation?
maybe we might have missed just the beginning part.
Okay. We open with a song called Little Person from one of my favorite sad movies with Philip Seymour Hoffman. Synecdoche, New York, if you don't know it, that's one of my favorite sad movies to watch. But I do this 4-minute shift on it, which is where it changes not the pitch, but the tone of the voice to make it. And I sing the song with that formant shift on. And it's very sad, and that's when I put on my little like makeup and stuff during that song when it's sad.
Oh,
And then we
I
turn
missed all of
around
that.
right after that and do this like disco number. There's like dance disco number. So the whole idea is to make people stop and be like, what the fuck's going on?
Shock
This
them for a
like
second.
weirdo in overalls is putting on mascara or eyeshadow and singing in this weird fucked up voice, and then they do this fun little disco dance number, and so hopefully get them to pay attention enough to stick around for a couple more songs, you know.
Oh, there's that open throat. Let's go up to that. Let's move up to the open throat. This is what I wanted to talk about, because
Like
I also
warming up the audience.
yeah. And it's like I know, because you know how to get people's attention.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing with the open throat. We don't always do it correctly because we're amplifying the throat energy. And there's forgetting the percentage right now of how many not even open throats, the undefined throat. Open throat is actually more rare. I don't know what the percentage of that is. I used to joke with people that it was just me. It was the only open throat that existed, because that's what it feels like to be an open throat. Like, because a lot of times, I don't know if you can tell me a yes or no. We experience not being seen or heard when we're younger.
Yes.
And it creates a core wound. Like, a lot of your open centers can create a core wound for you. And so the core wounds for the open throat says, nobody sees me, so I need to try to get attention. I need to go out there and get attention because everyone ignores me when I speak. Nobody hears me. I'm just like see-through. That's what I think of with my I have an open throat. And it's less than 50% of the population, but it might even be a lot more less than that for the undefined throat. And I don't know what the percentage for the open throat is, but it's rare. So we're surrounded by mostly defined throats. I mean, if you look at the throat center, that little voice box up at the top of the chart, there's a lot of gates, those lines, all those white lines that are coming through. There's a lot of opportunities there to, at least I'm like, you couldn't give me one hanging gate. Just one place to speak from. But the expression of the open throat is, I like to say, we're like the universal channelers. We're like, we speak universal truth. We see other people so clearly that you can't lie to us. You cannot lie to an open throat. And we always want to recognize other people because we've felt like in our past that people did not recognize us. Like, I knew that you saw me like standing there, probably like staring at you like a freak. And you're like, she wants to talk to me right now. Come on over, sweetie. You little weirdo, kind of about to ask me some strange questions. Like, that's
what time are you born?
Yeah, that's the open throat, is that we can see through things. You cannot lie to an open throat. And we're like, if you think of like Jim Carrey and Robin Williams, I believe they have undefined throats. So what that means is that they just have some hanging gates, like some lines coming from there, but there's not a full channel.
I see.
So, but we're very expressive. We wear our insides out. And we can be very weird with the way we're going to present ourselves. Like, with the way you allow your 2551, like your channel of shock there, to like come in and like grab people's attention when you're on stage like that. Fucking correct. Like, all human design shows you is confirmation of what you're doing right and what maybe you need to work on. And having the awareness, now that I'm telling you, you actually look for attention. Can you look for positive attention, or can you look for attention that's going to benefit you or benefit your band? Like, you know how to find attention. So how can you use that to your advantage? Right? Because that's what human design will show you. It's like witchcraft. Everyone's probably like, shut the fuck up, Krystle. But Leah, before I say anything else, Leah, is there anything you want to say? I mean, you've known me for quite some time now with my open throat, and like meeting another open throat. I mean, you've seen enough throughout your time. Anything you want to add?
I don't think so. I mean, I'm not really ever going to say a huge amount of information.
Leah has a defined throat. For defined throat, we speak for the defined throats. We say all the things that nobody wants to
Krystle and I
all-
would be on here, and I would be like, okay, I'm going to say this thing and I'm going to write it down, and then she'll say it and I'll be like, well, okay, never mind.
Oh, shit, there goes my home.
Like, do you have anything to add? I'm like, no, you already said it for me. So
we make a lot of, because the thing is when you find people that bridge a lot of your hanging gates, like those lines that aren't connecting all the way through, you have like a deeper understanding of yourself, and you have a better relationship. There's like a deep connection between you and that other person. That's where like a lot of magnetics happen with people, is through the hanging gates. I did want to talk about before, and if you want to add anything else before we wrap up and everything, because we will be here for days if we talk about your entire chart. I do want to say, actually, there's two things I want to bring up because that are related. I want to keep this focused on your mission of making your band like the thing. Okay. Because I'm always here to empower people. That's my role in life. I'm a vessel of love. So we all have an incarnation cross. You're the left angle cross of the endeavor. We're not going to get into that right now, but you have
Sounds exciting.
But if you want to, you know where to find me. Let's talk about for a second two things. First thing is your profile. Now, because this is a very basic thing, and this is something that you can start between what I talked about with your generator and that your emotional authority. The other important thing to know is that about your profile, because your profile is connected to like your it's almost like your sun sign in astrology, if you want to kind of put it that way. And also I just want to let you guys know that Oliver is a triple Aries. Just very much. Just digest that. When I saw that in his chart, I was like, oh my God, you have the capability between your open throat, if you can really like harness it and like take the wisdom from it, and then allow all of your Aries shit, because they're like the manifester of the astrology. If I were to give them kind of like you guys can make shit happen, Aries. Like it's the quickest manifestors, aside from the actual manifestors, are the Aries. Okay. So it's interesting that they gave you you decided, I'm going to come here with all this fire, but I'm going to have a fucking open throat. So for me, to actually manifest in this world, it's going to take some time, because it's like all roads lead to Rome. So everything's trying to work its way up to that throat so you can express it and create it in the material world. But it's going to take a little bit more time. But the more time that you build that sacral up, the more opportunities for you to express that. And I can give you a whole thing on how to manifest through the open throat. We'll talk about that another time. Let's talk about it. But so your 5-1 profile. So your profile is like kind of like your sun sign in astrology. Okay. It's connected to your personality. So if you think of how your aura type is like a bowl of ice cream. Okay. And then there's this flavoring, these toppings that are surrounding that aura. Okay. And those toppings are your profile. They're the way people see you and the way you understand yourself as well. And so you're the 5-1. So you are the heretic investigator. I also have a first line in my profile. I'm a 1-3. So I'm an investigator martyr. And Leah is a 2-4. And she is a hermit opportunist. So the 5-1. And we were just talking about the 5th line yesterday, Leah. So this is kind of funny, because I was saying that the 5th line is so seductive. Like you're like, I think of the 5th line almost like the man behind the curtain in The Wizard of Oz. You never like, it's like, what's so mysterious? Like what's happening behind that curtain? I can't quite. It's like, and all of a sudden, like you'll show us a new side of you that like no one ever saw before, and you're like, who's that guy? And then another side, like Britney Spears, she's a 5-1, and like she's putting out all these seductive pictures out on the internet right now.
Yes. Good for her. Good
And
for her.
if you notice also the fifth line, if you notice, everybody was looking to Britney. Not only does, okay, everybody was looking to Britney to like almost like save like the music industry and like everything that was going on with her father and all of that,
Conservatorship
the
and
conservatorship,
yeah.
like showing people, like teaching people. The fifth lines can be one of the biggest teachers on like how things actually work. Like the fifth line is like this and you have also your motivation is guilt. It's like the fixer, like you know the right things that are actually going to work, so then you can go to the next level, which is to embody it, which are the six lines. The six lines are really to like embody the highest version of almost like what humanity could become. It's like kind of like what we're working towards. And there are a lot of six lines out there that are going to be leading the way once 2027. There's a whole thing happening after 2027.
Oh my
It's another thing. But the
God.
fifth lines are like the saviors. You're the person that either people are going to look to you for direction, and like you're here to universalize like truth and like what we're actually here to do. But people also enjoy burning you at the stake. It's that
Hell yeah.
when you get it wrong, because all of it is projections. Nobody, that's what
Sure.
you're the man behind the curtain. Like nobody can really see you. No one will ever know a fifth line ever. And I'm sorry to say that. But it's
okay.
like you're like, okay, I like being mysterious. It's all right. But people look to you to almost like save them. Like I'm sure a lot of your bandmates probably come to you for things. You're that
Yeah.
guy that's here
Yeah.
to fix, and he's guilt motivation also, Leah.
Mhm.
So, and guilt, Leah is also guilt motivation. So your motivation is the way other people view you and like almost look to you to share that expression of who you are and that gift and the way you see the world. The motivation is the way you see the world and what's like pushing you to operate correctly.
Mhm.
And so for you, you have guilt motivation. So you always want to fix things. So you have that fifth line energy that's not only in your motivation, but it's also in your personality sun. So it's like you heavy emphasis on like, I need to make sure everyone's taken care of. I see like when things are not working, I need to fix them for people. People come to you to fix their problems. And
Sure.
then you have that first line energy in your body, in your physical body, that's like really investigating life, like really trying to get to the bottom of things. Like you really also want to have like a security, like a foundation to stand on. If you don't have that secure foundation to stand on, you don't usually want to move. You like to discover things, you like to like dive into weird things. And it's like it's a really investigative energy. It's like the basement floor.
I feel like it's accurate for when you're like, and now I need to know everybody else in my band's information.
Yes.
Yes, that's
Yes.
the first line. That's what a first line would
Accurate.
say. Yes, I need all the information. No, Krystle, like we're gonna sit you down and you're gonna tell everybody their shit. Like
Yes.
that's the first line. And so aside from your profile, I wanted to talk about this because we have this also in common. So when somebody, I'm an Aries moon, by the way, also. So
Nice.
everything's about me. So you also have the same environment as me. And so your environment is also connected to your body and your outside world. Okay. So also Oliver's going through his Saturn return right now, guys. Like this is I'm so curious as an emotional how this is gonna pan out for you. And we're gonna have a different discussion on your Saturn return. But
Yes.
it's let me hold on. I'm just curious of what channels are happening for you right now. Okay. Oh, so you have, Oliver, you got to run with this band. Oh, he has the 4323, the 6124, and the 2034
Right now?
for
Oh,
yes,
I
during his
had a
Saturn
feeling the 4323, but I knew
return. Well, he
obviously
has the
not,
43.
but only because this, yes, that I saw that
Yes.
too. I was like, if I say this, he's gonna get it.
Yeah, you guys, you just get the weird things. But yeah, you got a lot of educational channels that you're working on right now, and there's going to be some healing happening around your throat and also the way you see the world. I'll give you that. That's a quick little They're like,
I'll
what?
take it.
I need
I'll
you to tell
take
me
it.
all the information now on the first line.
I would love it all, but I
Yeah.
understand.
Well, if you want, we can do that, but it won't be here all day if it's tonight.
I know.
So your environment, this is really okay. Oliver, one more thing that this is what we'll end on, because this is really important and also for
Okay.
anybody that's going through your Saturn return right now. You need to find your environment, because it is about to become extremely important during your Saturn, right after your Saturn return, as you're going through it, to get prepared to be in your correct environment. It took me quite a few years after my Saturn return to be in my correct environment. I'm actually from Florida, not from North Carolina. As you can probably hear, I don't have an accent. I'm not from here. But I was in my incorrect environment. And so when you're in your transferred environment, which for you is shores, it can put you in resistance, and it's where you're going to meet the incorrect people, that you're going to have the incorrect perspective, that you're probably going to go down a different trajectory that you're not meant to go on, which is what happened to me. And it's not bad. It's like the long way home. Like, why fucking take the long fucking way home when you can make it a little bit more easy? And also, your environment is where you meet success. So I'm about to tell you something important, Oliver. And I know as a defined heart, you're going to want to hear this. You also have gate 21. Yes. So you are kitchen's environment. I am also kitchen's environment, but you're wet kitchens. And this means that you get energized by first of all, you get energized by people watching you. This is like, honestly, I love this for an open throat, because it gives you a little bit of a leg up. I am right environment, so I have nothing. I don't like, nobody's looking at me, but it's okay. Well, we won't talk about my wounding. So left environment means that you get energized in your environment when almost like people are observing your action, which is fucking brilliant and perfect for you to be a performer. Okay. Like, if all the left people were performers, like, it would be fucking fantastic. So aside from that, you get energized that's a number one way, first of all, Oliver, for you to know when you're not in the right environment, is if you don't have any energy. If you don't want to move. You're not here to be a couch potato in your environment. Leah and I are here to be couch potatoes in our correct environment. We just kind of we're the observers. We like to watch you guys. That's why I was like, I was bopping away watching you up on the stage there. And so aside from that, your correct environment is kitchens. And so if you think of like cities, like how we met in Knoxville, like you going to different cities to perform fucking like on point. Like, you need to do more of that. Go to all the major fucking cities, live in a city, or live just outside of it, at least, if you don't want to be directly in the action. But I would imagine as a left person, you probably do like to be. Sure. Yes. Do you do like to be directly in the action?
Absolutely.
So we are the alchemists. I like to say we are the witches and the warlocks. We like to mix fucking shit together. Okay. Leah has two kitchens witches as well. We're the chemists. We're really good at chemistry. I don't know if you were good at chemistry in school. No.
I wasn't good at school in general, but I think there was a whole other set of circumstances with that. But.
Okay. I was good at chemistry, so I just like to say that. But we are like the chemists, we're the alchemists, and we need to be in a place of gathering. So like you being on stage, gathering everybody up to watch you, fucking correct. Okay. Like, that's why I said, I saw you living your design. I just didn't know what I didn't have the language to explain it. And so I want to confirm all these things for you so that you can keep doing it. Do what's working. We can talk about what's not working another time, but do what is working, because this is what is going to really create momentum for you guys. Okay. And so you're also wet kitchens, which I find kind of hilarious that by the end of the performance, you're just like soaked.
Absolutely. Every time. No matter where I'm at or humidity what the temperature is.
Good for you. It's really good for you. Humidity. So between I love the combination between direct light right? We got the spotlight on you
Mm-hmm.
on stage. You're performing. Everybody's watching you. And you're in your little kitchens, like alchemizing your throat energy and like presenting that out to the world. Everyone's bopping away between that defined root and that solar plexus and sacral action that's all happening there. And like you're just doing a lot of things correct.
It feels like it when it feels like it, you know.
You know when
Feels
it's you know when
it
it you know
feels
when you know. And that's what I'm
absolutely.
trying to confirm for you is this is what is working for you. So keep doing this because we tend to second guess ourselves, right?
We do.
And if we
Yeah.
don't know, like my father used to tell me, there was no manual on who you were or how to raise you. Actually, Father, there was. It was called my human design chart.
Nice.
So there's so many other things that we could talk about. Your strongest clair, you like your the way you and your like body interprets frequency and all this other stuff and crazy stuff, and more about your motivation and your view, the correct perspective. And like that undefined spleen that you have where sometimes you don't know what's good for you. Or like there's
Yeah.
some there are some like hidden things happening in your chart that you might want to have a little awareness of. But this
Sure.
is like the nutshell version of you. Do you have any questions before we go? And Leah, if you want to say any last words, don't tell me no. Come up with something. And go ahead, Oliver.
So many
You're like,
questions, you
how
know.
much more time do we
So just looking at the connections from different areas you were talking about after like a Saturn return, do these things connect eventually? Can they connect eventually? The 43 to 23 I heard you mentioned.
have? Oh, do
Is
they
that
do
something
they
that,
end up connecting? Oh,
or is this a final plot of what
this is
what
yeah,
it is?
this is your final plot. But what like but what those connection channels are going to do for you is they're going to teach you almost like the if you allow, only if you allow, like the correct way to use your voice, like to stop using your mind to make decisions and realize that actually your true nature lies in your emotions, and that clarity is never in the now. And the best thing that you can say to yourself is I'll get back to you. I need to sit with it. I'm just not sure. I tell emotionals that make decisions when you feel almost bored. And it's almost like this neutral zone of where you're not in a high, you're not in a low, but like it's almost like the fog is lifted. I almost look at emotionals that they're walking around. You guys are walking around with this little fog cloud around you. And then all of a sudden, just like it's like parts a little bit. And you're like, oh, I see through that. Okay, that makes sense. All right, that's good. Okay, I'll make a decision now. There's no clarity in the now. There will never be clarity in the now. But if you can rely on that sacral to know what's correct to respond to, then you'll know when it's right to make the decision. And you might never fully feel like you know if it's correct, because like I said, there's a little bit of a fog haze. You got those waves running through you, right?
Sure.
But just allowing yourself to have space and to like sit with it, go sit in that direct sunlight and just like all of a sudden sometimes things will just hit you in the right way and you'll be like, okay, this is right, this is correct. And I'm sure you've experienced that a lot.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, we could go deeper on a bunch of other stuff if you would like.
No clarity in the
now. Yeah. Yeah. It's like I how does that feel when I say that? I hope I didn't just like dampen everything for you.
No, that's great, because I mean I do make rash impulse decisions, and then usually I just learn to live with the consequences of whatever that may be.
Anymore.
Well, sure. But that's just a good way of thinking about it.
Yeah.
My next tattoo, who knows? I don't know.
If you feel like 60% clear, 60 to 80%, 60 to 80%. And you're like, you know what? It's almost like if an emotional can say, you know what, I could give or take that. If I could give or take it, then it's actually correct, which it sounds completely bonkers, right? Because it's like, we should make decisions when we're excited. But no. Yeah, no. Just don't do that.
That's
I
great.
mean, if you want to, don't tell, I'm not telling you what to
Sometimes
do.
you have to, but if you're afforded the luxury of time, then
Yeah.
yes.
And also getting comfortable, like it's something that you're going to have to get comfortable with, is telling people, you know what, I'm not quite sure. I might need to sleep on that.
Sure. That's great.
And just allow yourself to feel all of it. Because the problem is
Mhm.
also with emotionals is you guys stop the feelings, you stop the energy moving sometimes, because it can
Mhm.
get a little too dark or too deep or too
Or
intense
overwhelming.
or
Yep.
overwhelming, right?
Mhm.
So, or like a little depression, because depression can also live in that root there. Um, so it's like when you're feeling all those either lows or highs, it's like, you know what, this is probably not the best time for you to make this. And it's something that you're going to learn through your Saturn return too. So it's
Mhm.
kind of nice that you're getting this little, you know,
Pep
information right
talk.
now.
Little pre-screening to my
Yeah, pre-screening.
post
I like the way you word things. The open throat, we do have really good words.
Mhm.
Leah knows. She's like, I don't write anything anymore. I just tell Krystle to write it and then I put it in.
I always write things and then you're like, no, this needs to be in a document. But it kind of like it starts like I have to kind of like put things together so that she can see it and
Well,
then
so I can respond to something.
and respond to it.
We need something to respond to. It's like,
Yeah.
I can't just like pull shit out of thin air. I also, you also don't, there's no definition up here. So everything's just
Yeah.
like bloop, 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 all. And then like, you're just like, but Leah's all defined up here. So I can just, when you learn that other people have what you don't have, you can kind of jump on that. You can kind of borrow it for a second.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So she helps me, like, she's doing a lot more work by sitting here watching us a lot of times than what anybody would even know. And I know what she's doing.
Mhm.
And like, I wouldn't be able to have this conversation with you without her here, even though she doesn't want to say anything. Which I'm going to ask you.
My voice is already tired and I haven't said barely anything. I'm just
Yeah, we've talked for you. So do you have
my only question was, do you feel when Krystle talked about the guilt and the fixer, do you ever feel like people have come to you to be a fixer for things?
Absolutely. And that, I mean, I'm the middle of three, and my dad comes to me with like advice with my stepmom, asking me things that my brothers don't
Yep.
even know exist, don't even know have happened, and see him, he sees me more, I guess, as a friend, but also in previous relationships. It's like the main connection was me fixing problems, that came up, or a situation that they were in that I knew how to fix, and that established a bond. But that doesn't, it's not you don't have solid footing on that kind of connection. I've learned the hard way. But maybe next time I will use no clarity in the now, and sleep on some things, and maybe things will work out.
And the fifth line does not have to save everyone's day.
Yeah. And the guilt, like you just, both of those combined, it feels like you're like, oh, I gotta do it now, like gotta fix everything, because you don't want to let anybody down too with your divine heart. Like you're just like, I feel this in my soul and I need to fix everything in this moment. I feel you on that, because I have a lot of divorces in my family, and they always called me the glue of the family. I still am considered the glue of the family. And I'm like, you used to be such a burden, because I was like, I can't fix everybody's marital problems. But apparently they just needed to like talk to me, and that made it feel better. So it's interesting now looking back at that. So
when people see you in your true motivation, because there's also your transferred side, which is hope. But when people see you in that guilt motivation, that those are the people that are correct for you, that you are actually here to help if you choose. But those are the opportunities for you. The people that see you in hope, that don't see you as the fixer, that see you as almost like this passive, like, oh, hopefully it works out. Hopefully it works out. Like, I don't think I should fix that. Or like, but like the hesitation and the resistance to it, not that like your sacral and your emotional authority are telling you to not do it, but like where you don't actually, it's almost like you don't believe in yourself. I feel like is when that happens, because hope is deeply connected to the spiritual element. And so it's almost like when you don't believe in yourself and you think like, hopefully it'll work out. It's almost like guilt people, they have dumb hope. Like my husband is also guilt motivation. And sometimes he just thinks things like randomly. A lot of times he's in the guilt. I'll be like, I'm like, he's like, I think this will I'm like, David, you're not seeing clearly right now. And that's what happens. It's connected to the mind. You don't actually see clearly when this is happening. I'm like, sweetie, you're not. I'm like, you can fix this. You can fix this. And like, a guilt person, they'll kind of go back and forth between that hope and that guilt. Like Leah does it too. She's like, I don't think I'm going to figure this out. She'll tell me. She does a lot of our back end stuff on our website. And she's like, I don't think I'm going to figure this out. I'm like, Leah,
this damn microphone thing though, seriously, like if I the one thing that I have not been able to figure out. So, but yeah, it's true. Like everything is like, you can watch yourself kind of go in and out from hoping things will work out to like, no, I can actually do this. Wait, no, hopefully something will come across, and nothing ever does. And I'm like, no, actually I have to go like,
you actually have to do it.
I feel like I switch into that mode when it seems overwhelming, or when I think I can't, then it's like, well, I can't just say it won't be fixed. I have to say, I hope it will be fixed, or something is going to happen.
I tell you, I told Leah to remove that word from her vocabulary. Just like, it's not helpful.
Right.
Like, there's certain words, like once you understand like your design, like there's certain words that actually heighten your frequency. And then there's certain words that are going to deplete it. So it's important. It's like signposts to know like what is actually correct for you and like how you can utilize them and like integrate this into your life so you can have a more ease-filled life. Or you can go back to that NotSelf version and face resistance if you choose, which we're all going to go back and forth between, because we have to have a contrast, right? There has to be contrast for us to actually learn and progress and grow, right? But do we have to stay stuck in it? Or can we find opportunity to go back to the other side? So I feel like that's a good note to end on. That was like, I don't know. I feel like my open throat just like really caught that for a second.
Ready for an ad placement right there, right after that. And just, got it.
But beautiful. So thank you so much for coming on and just like sharing like what it's like to live your design and not even know it.
Thank you for analyzing my design and knowing it before you knew me. So that's also very cool.
I also say, so I told Leah, because Leah was having a hard time getting on. And so I said, you need to hurry your ass up. Like I was on your defined route. Also, I just let you guys know, Oliver has one of the most defined routes I've ever seen in my life. I just want to preface that.
Where do you see that?
It's that brown box at the bottom that has all those lines coming out of it.
I see.
And so I said to Leah, I'm 99% sure. I mean, I'm never actually sure. I'm a 1-3 and my sense is uncertainty. So I actually never know if I'm correct, but a lot of times I am. Most of the time. But I said to Leah, I'm pretty sure he's either going to be right on time or early. So you need to get the fuck on here so that we can chat for a second. And there you were. You showed up like 3 minutes early. And I was like,
there it was.
Yeah, I had a feeling that was going to happen.
It's a blessing and a curse sometimes. Don't ever get on an airplane with me or get to the airport with me, because that's
why is that like a hell ride to be on with you?
Oh no, it's just we're gonna get there a couple hours early and enjoy a nice book.
That just stressed me out. I was like, 2 hours early. You have to be like,
yeah. Well, thank you for coming, and like maybe we'll do your band next, or we'll chat with them.
We'll talk. There should be something fun later. I'd love to. Yeah, that would be great. It was great to meet you, Leah, and maybe you guys can come to a show eventually.
Yeah, maybe we'll actually meet each other. We have to meet first. That's how it'll happen. You're gonna get us over there, Oliver.
Let's make it happen.
All right. Well, thank you guys for listening, and thank you for coming, Oliver.
Sure.
And Leah giving us your throat and head and energy. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. Krystle and I are really here as defined hearts to provide value to you with our unique insights. If you have found any of this episode valuable to you, we ask that you share with a friend, tag us with a highlight on Instagram, and write us a review so we can reach more people. Human design and astrology are tools to guide us toward our transformation. You are a unique and beautiful being, and we encourage you to let that light inside of you shine bright. See you in the next episode, friends.